Hope and remind everyone to be nice to each other. Mr. Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Waldron, President Waldron. I'm going to not only try to channel Ms. Kelsham, but also Pastor Cole and what he said tonight about having a fair and open, honest discussion and debate. Whatever I say, it's my own opinion. I would hope also that if you disagree with it, that we can have this discussion here in front of people instead of on the phone doing back channel deals. My issue tonight is, and just to be fair and open about this, when Mayor Donchez sent the nomination of Ms. Ritter to the zoning board, permanent member, she's already been voted in as a temp. And she's been on that for over a year now, doing a fine job. Matter of fact, Mr. Fitzpatrick, the board, zoning board president, and Mr. Shantz are going to come here tonight and speak in favor of her to be on the board, the zoning board. She's been doing an awesome job. And I told them after I found out that some council members would not support Ms. Ritter and the mayor was going to pull it because of that, I told them not to come. And Ms. Ritter was going to come also, but she had an event this year that goes to for the Bethlehem School District at Edge, a fundraiser for their committees. So, as a councilman and someone who cares deeply about the city, I'm very disappointed by the actions of Councilman Reynolds, Councilwoman Negron, and Councilwoman Van Wert for their lack of support and the pulling of the name of a highly qualified and ethical candidate for the zoning board for no other reason than a couple of perfectly legal campaign donations for her council race. I supported her, as you all know. In fact, she, like all of us, Mr. Reynolds, you've received thousands and thousands of dollars from the same donors, probably over $50,000, $60,000. And if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, please correct me. And also from unions. But she was waiting for a union check to come in. The unions were supporting her, and she did not have the money in the bank. And as all of you know, the print houses will not print the mailers and mail them out until you give them a check. Everybody with me? Okay. She didn't have the money in from the unions yet, the IBEW and a few others. I had money in my account, and I loaned it to her because the union heads, 3 union heads, promised me that it was just a delay in the union bureaucracy to get the checks printed off to her, but they promised me they were going to get it back. I gave her a check for $4,000 as a loan, and she gave it back to me a week later when she got the checks in. So I'm trying to be transparent in everything that happened with that, okay? But I think she raised $8,000, $9,000. And if I'm wrong by $400 or $500, I apologize. But I think 3,000 of it came from economic development interests. The rest of it came from union members, from unions. So my question is, this is a very slippery slope that Ms. Van Wert, and I think you were the one that originally had called her and expressed your concern about her ethics if she didn't recuse herself. And if I'm misstating it, I'm going off of what she told me, okay? She had called me after your phone call and said that she felt a little strong-armed and intimidated by the phone call, and that you had asked her that unless she guaranteed that she would recuse herself from participating in any discussion while on the zoning for anybody that gave her a donation, that you would not support her. And she called me up and I said, listen, what I would recommend is this: call the mayor, tell the mayor what happened. Call up Bill Fitzpatrick, who I don't even know, but he's the chair of zoning, and call the solicitor and tell them what happened. She did. Mr. Fitzpatrick, I don't even know the guy. I don't know Mr. Reynolds if you know him, but he apparently ran for council many, many years ago. I don't ever remember the guy. But he took donations from developers also, an economic development interest. And he said, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, that she has to recuse herself. You're questioning a woman's ethics, right? Who, I'm gonna read you a list here of things that she's been doing in this community for over 25 years. And she's never, ever been questioned. And her response to you was that she couldn't promise you that she would take each case on a case-by-case issue and do what's best for the city of Bethlehem. She wouldn't recuse herself if she thought it was a good project, and she didn't want to accuse herself if she thought it was a bad project. Is that fair to say? Ms. Van Wert, is that fair to say?
You're supposed to talk to him.
Okay.
If you want.
So we're not going to have, you want to have a debate, an open discussion about things. I'm talking very plainly, and I would hope that you be open enough to discuss what happened. But if you don't, that's okay. But anyways,
Mr. Callahan,
I'm not
this is
done
the
yet.
People's Council.
I'm
This
not-
is not Brian Callahan's
Right,
council.
right.
So I'm not going to answer your questions
Okay.
here on interrogation, sorry.
It's not an interrogation. I'm trying to have an open and honest discussion. I seriously am. So, Mr. Fitzpatrick said that he had voted for people against and for projects that he took economic development interest money from, right? So you're trying to pigeonhole someone into not participating in something that you are not in favor of. And my question is this, that
Mr. Callahan, if you can, as a reminder to your remarks towards me, thank you.
as always,
Thank you.
these are my casino Local 54 licenses from when I was 18 years old, okay? When I worked in the casinos. This is the local union. I've been union my whole entire life. I've never, ever not had a union job, ever. I didn't become pro-union because I got on council and the union supported me. Big difference. I've been union my whole life. Before, I didn't get on council until I was 50. At 18 years old, I look a lot younger there, but believe me, that's me, okay? I was a union member since I've been 18 years old. I then became a teacher, and I became a building rep, a union building rep, 26 years ago. Again, I didn't get on a council until I was 50. Then I became a vice president of the BEA, and I'm proud to be a union member. So my point is, the thought process, I think, with Mr. Reynolds and Ms. Negron and Ms. Van Wert is that someone becomes pro something because they got donations. And it's incomprehensible to them, I think, that maybe the reason why they're getting the donations is because that's their view. That's their opinion. Same thing with me. If you go back to the morning call and you can ask the reporters here, I know Ms. Mertz was there, when I announced my candidacy, way before I received $1, I didn't even have my bank account open yet. And I said very plainly, I'm running for economic development and unions. You can't have union jobs without economic development projects. You can't. That Benner project, as much as some of the people on that side despise it, and some of the people out here despise it, that provided 120 union jobs, good paying middle class jobs, for a year and a half. And not one building was ripped down over there. It was an empty lot. So it didn't affect any of the low income, middle class income housing over there. And the amount of money brought in the city, it was astronomical. And if I'm going to be flipping around here, I apologize. I'm trying to keep my train of thought. So,